Hi, I'm Jayne. I'm a registered dietitian and diabetes educator at the Salt Lake City VA. And today I have the pleasure of making for you a dish that's kind of quick and easy that you could have for lunch or even dinner, and kind of uses some of the ingredients that we see a little bit more often in the summer months. So I'm going to put together a black bean and mango quesadilla. So the ingredients that we need for this particular recipe include a mango, and we're going to talk a little bit more about mangoes in a few minutes. We also need some black beans. These are canned black beans that I rinsed and I drained them, okay? Here I have a red bell pepper that I chopped. And here are some green onions, chopped. Jalapeno pepper. If you like it a little spicier, this is a great way to go. If you don't, then you don't have to add the jalapeno, but I like it a little hot. We have some fresh avocado, and pepper jack cheese is what I'm going to use today. You can use a lot of different types of cheese. You could do a Mexican blend or whatever, but I'm going to go with pepper jack today because I want it a little bit spicy. Okay, so let's talk about the mango, okay? So mangoes are available year-round. There's like over 500 varieties of mangoes, but two common varieties that I typically see at the grocery store here are champagne mangoes, which are a little smaller, and then this type of mango, which is common in Florida. If you're not familiar with mangoes, you really want to know what to do when you go out shopping for one. How do you pick a good mango? When you go out there, one of the first things to look at is looking at the color of the mango. Typically when mangoes first come off the tree, they're a bright green and they're very hard, okay? So as that mango ripens, it's going to turn from green into maybe a little bit more red, yellow, orange, okay? So the color can be a good help, but the best thing to do is to really touch the mango, to put your finger on it and push into the mango. If it gives a little bit, it's probably ripe. If it gives too much and it's squishy, it's going to be overripe and it's not going to be very good. So you don't want to pick that one. If you press into the mango and it's really hard as a rock, it's not going to be ready to eat, okay? So when you get a mango, you want to make sure, if you're going to prepare this dish, if you can't find a ripe mango, you want to buy the mango that might not be totally ripe, let it sit in the house for a couple days, just sit out, and you'll see it ripen, okay? And once it's ready to use, you can use it in any kind of recipe. So for today, I'm going to use this mango because I've had it a little longer. It's ripe, it's nice and pliable, it's got good texture. How do I slice a mango? There's a lot of different ways to slice mangoes, okay? I'm not going to get into all the different varieties of ways to do that, but what I'm going to do today is simply peel this mango. I'm going to peel the skin off of the flesh. And as you can see, it's still firm a little bit. It's not real mushy, so you don't want it to be real mushy, because then it develops sort of an acidic, sort of an unpleasant taste. So we don't want to use a mango that's overdone, okay? Once I get this peel, which takes a minute, I'm just using like a carrot peeler or a vegetable peeler, just a simple peeler. You could use a knife if you have a sharp knife. Okay, so now I've got the skin off of the mango, okay? So when you look at the mango, there's a top part here that's like the stem, okay? There is a very large seed or pit inside of a mango, so you really can't slice them this way, okay? So what you want to do is put the mango down with the pit in front, and we're going to slice to the side, which are kind of referred to as the cheeks. So if I do that, I'm cutting away from the pit, and you can feel that right in here. So you can slice the mango, and then you can just, whatever way is easiest for you to get any remaining flesh on there so you don't want to waste a lot of the fruit, you can just kind of cut around the pit, you know, to remove any excess flesh. Okay? So there you go. That's the pit, and we're going to just put this to the side. So once you have some of these fleshy pieces sitting here, we're going to dice them up. Just take your knife. You need a sharp knife. It's always a good thing to have in a kitchen, is a good knife. And most things, honestly, whenever I cook, when things are fresh and healthy and good for you, they need to be usually chopped, okay? So we always need a good kitchen knife. And so what's good about mangoes? I love mangoes. You can make them in a variety of different dishes like salsa and things like that. Mangoes are full of nutritional value. They're a good source of fiber. They're also a great source of vitamin C and vitamin A, which are antioxidants, which add a lot of nutritional value to this dish. And the best thing about mangoes is that they're absolutely delicious. They taste great. They add a really nice sweetness in addition to some of the other tastes that we're going to get out of this recipe, some of the citrus. So the blend and the combination of all these things is really quite wonderful. I think you'll like it. Okay. Once the mangoes are diced and ready to go, we're going to take the mango, we're going to add it to our black beans. Okay. And then we're going to add all the other ingredients that we have. The diced red pepper or chopped red pepper. I have some green onions. Jalapeno for the heat, and I like jalapeno. Again, if you're not a big fan of heat, you don't have to put that in there. Some fresh squeezed lime juice, and I'm just going to squeeze it with my squeezer here. This is just easier for me to do. If you have strong hands, you can just squeeze it and put it in there, but this is a lot easier for me. Okay? So we're just putting our lime juice in there, a little citrus on top of the crisp. It's going to be delicious. And then I'm going to add my chopped avocado. Let's mix this up. We just want to mix it. Start softly or gently a little bit because we don't want to crush up all the avocados and smash them up into a mush. So basically what I'm doing here is mixing that lime juice throughout all the different ingredients. I'm going to give it a few minutes to sit and blend all these different flavors and consistencies together. I mean, look at that color. Is that beautiful? We have the beans. We're talking packed full of nutrition, fiber. This is a meatless entree, which is a nice alternative every now and then to eating a lot of different kinds of meat. So this can be fun. And we're going to season this with a little salt and pepper to taste. And if you're kind of on a low sodium diet and you don't want to add the salt, you certainly don't have to, okay? But I think a little bit of additional salt and pepper to this dish adds a really nice flavor, okay? So we're going to stir this up. Let it sit for a few minutes to marinate and blend. And then we're going to go over and start cooking to assemble our quesadilla. Okay, I forgot to add the last but not least ingredient to this dish, and that's the cilantro. Cilantro adds a really great, cool, crisp flavor, okay? So let me mix that in. And we're going to get ready to assemble this. So let's make a quesadilla. Turn the heat. Have my skillet here. This recipe calls for 4 servings, and or 4 different tortillas, and these are just your basic flour tortillas that I had available. And I'm gonna put that tortilla in here. And when people make quesadillas, there's different ways to do it, but I find it to be a little easier to make rather than putting 2 tortillas on top of each other. To turn it, a lot of stuff falls out. So once this is warm, give it a minute. I'm going to take my mixture, my bean, mango, vegetable mixture with this lime juice. So we're going to fill half of the tortilla with our mixture, and then we're going to top it with a little bit of cheese. And this is starting to simmer. You can kind of hear it. And we're going to give this a minute, and then we're going to flip the tortilla over. I'm just going to use my knife since that's available. And I'm going to turn it. And if you don't, you can also use a spatula. I'm going to flip my tortilla here, and I'm going to let that cheese melt. Give it a minute, turn the heat down a little bit. Give it a couple minutes so that the cheese melts all the way through and mixes into that delicious mango mixture that we have inside, okay? Getting there, pretty close. You can do this, like I said, if you wanted to make this just for yourself instead of making 4 portions, you could just cut the ingredients back and assemble them, because this isn't gonna stay for a lot longer because we already have the avocado mixed in there, so you really wanna use this up. If you're making it the same day, you would want to use all this mixture if you don't want to keep it overnight, okay? I think our quesadilla is pretty much finished here. So I'm going to turn the heat off, let it sit in the pan, and then I'm going to go put this together and plate it. The quesadilla is done. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Nice and brown and crispy, and all the cheese is melted inside. So let me put that down. So this is ready to eat. You have lots of different options. You could eat it like this as a sandwich if you're on the go, or if you wanted to make a prettier version, you could cut it into like some different triangles, put it on a plate. Oop, cheese is melted in there. I'm gonna get this on a plate. And then if you wanna even make it look a little bit nicer before serving, you can top it with a little bit of the salsa. Okay, now if you wanna eat it with your hands, you probably don't wanna do that. But if you're gonna eat it with a knife and fork, you can top it off with a little bit of salsa. And there you have it. Mango bean quesadilla. Bon appetit.